Hi, there's Memory from Friends Abroad Relationship School, and today I wanted to do this session around parenting. And the first topic I wanted to share today is the 17th of May, by the way. It's my daughter's birthday. She turned 19. And I wanted to share about what reason we heal, why we heal, for what reason we heal, and why we heal. We heal to achieve tranquility, to have a peaceful life or a peace of mind. We heal so that we are not disturbed by everything and anything that we encounter in this life. Because what happens is there are so many streams flowing in our lives. There's so much that happens in life. And if we follow all those streams, we are going to end up adrift and we won't have any direction. And anything that we want to achieve in life is not going to be achievable. It's not going to be possible because we are going to feel overwhelmed by everything we encounter. And secondly, we are going to struggle to focus on that which we want, which obviously consequently leads again to not achieving what we desire. There's so much chaos in the world. There's so much that happens. I think I've shared this before. But if we are healed or if we explore healing, we can learn to focus. We can learn to choose what to focus on in life so that we have a sense of direction and we achieve our goals. And the goal, as I'm saying, is peacefulness. That's why we encourage healing, so that we don't live a knee-jerk life, so that we don't struggle when we encounter different situations in life, so that we are not clueless when life happens or when we are faced with difficulties. Because part of healing is to develop self-leadership, to be able to create solutions in your best interest, to be able to make decisions that are helpful for you, because that's what was taken away from us by trauma. And also, when we heal, we develop tools to manage our triggers, and these triggers take place in our life experiences, in our interactions, in our interactions with ourselves and with others. So when we have tools, we can prevent those triggers, we can manage them where they are unavoidable, and we can minimize them, and we can also minimize their impact. So we need to learn to love ourselves, and to love ourselves requires that we explore inner child work, because inner child work helps us to assess where we are and how we ended up where we are because of our conditioning and our upbringing. And we can address that. We can address the inner child and parent the inner child so that we do not go around with the beliefs that we adapted or adopted when we were young, which are causing problems now in adulthood. That is important. Heal the inner child. And we also want to learn dichotomy of control. And even before we do inner child work, or during the learning of doing of inner child work, we need to practice dichotomy of control. That is the best concept to apply in life, to recognize what is within your control and what is outside your control, and let go of what is outside your control and focus on yourself and that which is in your control. And when you heal, you also learn to trust and allow the universe, because you know that there is a larger power, a bigger power that brought you into being. And so what you do is you trust the process, you trust that higher power to do what is best. And whilst you are focusing again with dichotomy of control on yourself and not trying to force outcomes or focus on that which is outside your control, because you know your limits in life. You know that there are other areas that you can't tackle, where you don't have any power or any control at all. And that is very important. And you also trust and allow others, Because you know through the dichotomy of control that others are outside your control. You can't make someone do what they don't want to do. You can't make someone feel what they don't want to feel, what they are not feeling. So that is outside your control. Because there's a body boundary. You have your body, I have my body, and there's a boundary there that makes me choose what is best for me, because I'm the feeler of my feelings and the thinker of my thoughts, just as you are the feeler of your feelings and the thinker of your thoughts. And I can't make you do anything that you don't want to do. I might influence you, I might share with you resources, but it's up to you to choose what to do. And that is a great freedom we need to exercise, but we need to choose where to exercise it. And when we heal, we know exactly how to apply this great freedom that we have. And we have tools such as SIFTSEM, self-care. Self-care is really powerful because it helps us to achieve a quality life through committing to ourselves on a daily basis, parenting ourselves, getting up in the morning with gratitude, appreciation for what we have. That helps us to create peace in our lives, because then when something happens, we can notice what we have. And for what we don't have or what we are wanting, we use tools like SIFTSEM, and we parent ourselves and soothe ourselves and create solutions to work towards a goal to achieve those things where possible. And that is very powerful. We've got that in us. We've got those resources. We have a mother or a father, if you want, within us who can support us. We've got the child in us who's longing for those things, and we also have a parent within us who can support us and soothe us and create solutions. And that is very important in our lives to achieve a state of peacefulness. And then when we notice something happening, we use tools like SIFTSEM, objectively evaluate whatever happens. And again, as I said, we parent ourselves. And then we are not overwhelmed all the time. We are not struggling all the time. We are not clueless all the time about what to do and ending up asking questions all the time about the same thing. We are able to create solutions for ourselves because we can. It's just that we need to train ourselves to do that rather than be overly reliant on external help. Initially, of course, we can utilize external help, but with time, we can learn to create solutions in our best interest from our feelings. And that is really, really powerful. So that's that about peacefulness. And it's important that we practice focus and learn to sift through our environment and not to take everything and anything and let ourselves be carried away by all that, but to choose. Like I said the other day, if we are going to the shops to buy something, we go straight to the shop, even when we see people fighting and we see other things happening along the way. We go ahead and go to the shop and buy what we need and go back home. That is focus. There's a lot that's happening in the world. There's a lot that will happen in the world. It has always been and it will always be. But what we need in those moments is focus. And even when it's personal, it's about us, it's something that's happening in our immediate environment, it is important that we also learn to focus on solutions rather than dwell on problems. That is focus. Otherwise, we won't get anywhere. So that is how we achieve peace of mind and peacefulness, because we need it. We need to live our best lives, as the Stoics say. We need to be in concert with ourselves, with our inner selves. And when we are in concert with ourselves, if I'm in concert with myself, I'm in concert with the universe. And my life will be more fulfilled. I can have something to say about what I did in this life, because then I am not talking about I wish I had done this or I regret not having done 1, 2, 3. When you are focused and you are self-leading, you've got tools to run your life. You know what you need to do and you choose things that are helpful for you, things that are in your best interest. You create solutions that help you to create or to live a quality life. So that is that for peacefulness. And the next topic, as I always discuss, is to ask you what you have done today to change your life. every day, at the end of the day, reflect on what you have done to improve your life for your self-development, and what you have learned that you did, maybe that you need to change, and where you need to improve tomorrow, and set an intention that I'm going to work on this tomorrow. I'm going to do better. And the next thing I ask you is how you have loved yourself with 5 love languages. And that's important. You need to reflect on that and look into how you love yourself with 5 love languages. Because as I was saying in a post yesterday, sometimes when we are not healed, we believe that we want to be loved this way, but actually it might be our trauma language. We are bidding for love in a way that triggers conflict, in a desperate way, or in a way that shows that we are running on empty. And when we do that, what we do is we either beg, we demand, or we command, or we use our power, or we manipulate. We find ways, we use ways that are self-sabotaging rather than actually expressing ourselves. And when we love ourselves with 5 love languages, and we fill ourselves up rather than rely on somebody else first, what happens is we do not demand or beg someone to meet our needs. We don't even ask. We observe whether they are coming towards us and meeting our needs or not. Because remember, we are adults. When we get into relationships, people know what a relationship entails. And if they are not doing it, they are choosing. Because when they approached you and decided they are going to do relationship, they knew that to do relationship, I need to be calling this person, and I need to be responding to this person. And I also need to be consistent, and I need to be open, and I need to be able to listen, and I need to be able to hold space. Everybody knows that. It's not something that anyone needs to be taught. We are aware of how we need to show up, how we are supposed to show up in a relationship. Everybody knows that. But what happens is, in the relationships, when one of us does not have boundaries, that is when things start to deteriorate. And this happens most of the time when we are not healed, or someone starts bidding for love in an unhealthy way, bidding for their needs to be met in an unhealthy way, and the other person might be put off, and then they stop stepping into the space, and they are also unhealed. Because if that is a healed person, they are not going to stick around and mess with your head. They are going to move on. Simple as. Because when people are self-leading, they have healed, or they've got a sense of self-leadership, and they are secure, they are not going to go around in circles with you. If they feel like you are giving out red flags, they will leave. If they will feel like you are demanding from a place of your trauma, they are going to leave you. And sometimes these are people we might label because they have decided that they want to leave because they want to protect themselves. They have noticed the red flag in you. But it's not only you. Sometimes it's also the other person. But if you are healed, you are not going to stay around situations that are not in your best interest. And that is important, to recognize whether your love languages are from a place of being healed, or you still speaking trauma languages. Because many of us have spoken trauma languages, have showed up speaking trauma languages in relationships because we are not healed, and we have a need for our needs to be met, but we think that our needs need to be met by a partner first. But there is love on 3 levels. We need to be able to meet our needs foremost, and then we can detach and look into who is coming into the space to give and receive love with us. We have no choice about who parented us or our children, we have to give them that love. But when it comes to relationship, we have to choose each other. And we also need to observe that the partner we accept for a long period is actually mirroring our inner states. If they are not respecting us, we are not respecting ourselves. If they are not compassionate to us, we need to find out where in our lives we are not being compassionate to ourselves. But most of the time, what we do is we focus on what the partner is doing rather than what they are showing us. And that is the powerful thing to do. Rather than evaluate their behavior, label it, and maybe run amok with it, we need to observe, what is this showing me about what's happening in me? And then step back and start to work on ourselves. That is very powerful because we can't control there, but we can control here. And that is where the dichotomy of control comes in. So that's what we want to observe about love languages. How you bid for your needs to be met will show you whether it's trauma or whether it's a healthy expression of love. So the next thing you might want to reflect on each night is to reflect on 3 people who inspired you. I like to look into people who inspired me in a probably a healthy way, maybe someone who praised me or someone who taught me something that I learned today, and also someone who might have triggered me, because it's important that we have that balance. People who trigger us teach us a lot, not about them again, but about ourselves, because how we are going to respond to them is helpful to understand ourselves and our inner states. And believe you me, this is not to punish ourselves or to blame ourselves, but we also have emotional currents that change from time to time. And as I say, the reason for SIFTSEM, the reason why SIFTSEM is powerful is you can also explore your pre-triggers, because pre-triggers can help you understand yourself a little bit more in the moment, not forever, but in the moment. And also maybe, for life, because you can learn what things you need to work on in those pre-triggers to avoid being triggered most of the time. As I say and share, if you hear me saying I was triggered, ask me, how many hours did you sleep last night? And you will find out that is where my pre-trigger is. Most of the time, I am fine. If I do not sleep, I am in trouble. So that's one area I need to work on. But there are nights where you might not sleep well. You can't have all good nights. And in those nights, if I then encounter a trigger, then I need to be conscious of that trigger, because then if it goes over my threshold, I am likely to react. And that is me. So be aware of your pre-triggers. That is important. So 3 people who inspired you today and what you can learn from them and what you can take forward tomorrow. The next part of our session is about doing a SIFTSEM. So when we do a SIFTSEM, the first thing we do is to evaluate the last SIFTSEM we did. So we did a SIFTSEM on Sunday. It was an example SIFTSEM because that's what I do sometimes. Sometimes I do my own, and other times I do an example because I notice a lot of situations that are recurring in people's lives or online, and I can probably try and SIFTSEM around a topic that's very popular. So we did a SIFTSEM around a trigger which someone had shared, that they felt frustrated and angry and distressed because they raised an issue with their partner and their partner said that they were going to break up. So we created solutions around that. Solutions include, I wrote that in a post 2 days ago, solutions include detaching and focusing inwards and giving them space to decide what is best for them. And then when they come forward, maybe ask if you can have a discussion, by which time you will have parented yourself and decided solutions. Because each situation we have in a relationship, if we don't create solutions around it, we are likely to keep repeating the same pattern, because this was not a new encounter or a trigger. It was something that was recurrent. And why was it recurrent? It's because there are no boundaries, there are no standards, there's no conflict resolution in the relationship. And these are things that we shared as solutions that need to be created when you sit down. However, it is helpful that this person is allowed to breathe and to think to themselves whether they want to come back or not. And then sit down and communicate and ask them for time. Ask them if they want to talk, and then sit down and communicate and give yourself a timeline. I'm going to give this about 3 months, and I'm going to learn to express myself in a way that probably makes them feel safe, because it takes two. And then ask maybe if we can create conflict resolution hour weekly, and say that might help, because we need to address situations in the relationship, because things will come up. People have meetings at work. That's the whole purpose of meetings, to address any concerns, as well as to also find out strategies that can promote greater collaboration, teamwork, and also skills, and whatever it is that the company is doing can be improved in each individual and in the team. So that's what you also need in your relationship. And sometimes we do not recognize how powerful this tool is. Conflict resolution hour, date nights, and appreciation and love languages in the relationship. It's very important. However, there are ways to communicate with your partner about this, rather than say, we need to do this in this relationship. Nobody owes you anything. They can leave. And that is the thing we need to remind ourselves about, which is why I recommend that we approach these relationships in a professional way. Because we know that someone can leave, and you can't stop them if they decide to leave, unfortunately. So we need to find a way to inspire them to stay. Not to beg them, but to inspire each other. So those were some of the solutions we needed to address. So when we start a new SIFTSEM, we evaluate that old SIFTSEM. So we can evaluate the SIFTSEM, these solutions, and say, perhaps if you were in such a relationship, maybe you let your partner go and waited until they reached out. Whether they've reached out now, you might say that I have communicated to ask if we can schedule a chat. Or if you have chatted, where are you with that chat? Or if they haven't reached out yet, you can evaluate where you are at yourself. I am parenting myself. I am focusing on myself. I am detaching, and I'm practicing self-care. That is important, because when we take ourselves away from such situations, we need then a replacement, because we are used to focusing on this person. And that is the problem. So what do we do in this space? That is what is missing when people struggle post-breakup in a toxic relationship, because they want to stay connected with that person. However, it's not healthy in that moment, because there is electrocution. You need to take yourself away from the trigger, from that electricity. Otherwise, you are going to be electrocuted and die. So if you take yourself away, you need a hospital. What is your hospital? You need to replace them with you, and start to look into whatever it is that you've been doing for them, and do it for yourself. 5 love languages: loving yourself, hugging yourself, speaking to yourself with love, words of affirmations, waking up to yourself with self-care, gratitude, affirmations, meditation, setting an intention, vision board, and also buying yourself or picking yourself gifts in nature, acts of service, cooking yourself healthy meals, going to exercise, doing things that you would do for them or for a child you love. That is how you love yourself, with 5 love languages and 5 senses. So that is important. And what we need to do next is to do a SIFTSEM. So I invite you to reflect on something, a situation that has happened in your life that you want to evaluate today, a trigger, a life question, something that you might have that you need to work on. So I'm going to look into a trigger. A trigger. Do I have a trigger of my own? Okay, I will do another example. Okay, so for example, let's share a situation where your partner is talking to other people online. So maybe you find out that your partner is talking to other people online and you feel frustrated, you feel angry, you feel sad, you feel disappointed, and you also feel afraid. So we need to articulate the trigger statement. What happened and how are you feeling? My partner is talking to other people online. I found out my partner is talking to other people online or on a dating site. And I feel horrified and unsure of what to do right now. So think of your own trigger, what happened and what are you feeling? The first thing that we need to do is to assess the trigger score on a scale of 0 calm to 10 very distressed. So maybe in this situation you might be distressed about 9 or 8 to 10 out of 10 distressed. So let's put it at 8 out of 10. The next thing I invite you to do, when I do this, I invite you to do this exercise with me to parent yourself. It doesn't matter you know or you don't know, but this can give you an opportunity to connect with your inner child. So the next part of SIFTSEM is to take some deep breaths. When you are triggered, breathe. Your breathing will support you. You are alive. Let's take a deep breath in and out. In, out. In, out. So you can go up to 15 deep breaths. Next thing is we need to look into pre-triggers. What conditions, situations, or factors might have worsened the impact of this trigger? So this depends on whether you have healed trauma. If you have got unhealed trauma, that can worsen the impact of your trigger because you might not have resources to address your situations or your situations, yes, and your emotions. Number 2, maybe there's a history of your partner cheating, which can worsen the impact. Because if it's a first time, yes, it can be upsetting, but the upset of a first time situation and something that's recurrent can be quite different. Number 3, do you have a self-care routine that you follow that is helpful to improve your emotional baseline, including an objective evaluation exercise? So if you don't, again, that can be a problem for you. That can worsen the impact of your trigger. Number 4, did you sleep well last night? It can be that, or maybe you are stressed from work, or maybe you've got little children and you are feeling challenged and alone, and or maybe the partner is not helping, or maybe something is going on recently that's making you feel more triggered than you would normally be triggered by any situation. So assess that. That is important and helpful for you to understand why you feel as you feel right now. And then the next thing is you want to reflect. We want to look into bodily manifestation of your triggers, and that is the key we need to explore when we do trigger management, because that's what we didn't do when we were in childhood. we didn't feel our feelings. So let's scan our bodies from toe. Put your feet down if you can, or if you're lying down, it's fine. Put your feet down and just observe what's happening in your body. Cold. My feet they are quite warm actually, my feet today. Sometimes they get cold. Achy feet. I've got a bit of a pain on my chest here. I've got heaviness in my shoulders and tense. I've got a tense neck. And when you notice tenseness, straighten that out, because that's what mother would do for you. Mother would soothe you. Mother would rub any area where you feel uncomfortable. She would massage you. Whatever she would do that for yourself, because that's the whole point of doing this exercise, to parent yourself and give yourself touch and anything, words of affirmations, and encourage yourself, or do anything that you feel a mother would do for you in a similar situation. And the next thing is, you also need to breathe into those spaces. If you're feeling a pain or anything, breathe into that. The next thing is images, mental images. Maybe in this situation where a partner is speaking to some people online, you probably visualize them typing away, or you visualize them laughing at you, or maybe meeting up with these people. There is so much that comes into our heads when we are triggered, when we are overwhelmed, when something comes into our heads or in our bodies. Feelings. How are you feeling? In this situation, maybe the person is feeling angry, frustrated, disappointed, shocked. Maybe they are feeling sad. Maybe they are afraid that this person is going to leave. Each feeling will come with a thought. Why are you feeling afraid? Because they might leave. Or maybe they have been meeting people already. Maybe you are shocked because you didn't believe that they could betray you. Maybe you are sad because you were thinking that you had a perfect relationship. Maybe you are disappointed because you believed so much in them. And these are the thoughts that you might also add. How dare he do that? Why did she do that to me? I thought we agreed. We are in a relationship, and so forth. And then why? Why are you feeling disappointed that your partner is speaking to other people online? And it might sound silly, but you see, we don't ask ourselves these questions. It's a straightforward question, but we don't think to ask ourselves that question. But this question can lead us somewhere. So maybe because you were thinking that you are in a relationship, and when people are in a relationship, they do not do that to each other, and you learned that in childhood because that's what people used to do when they were in relationships, and maybe that's what your parents did, or maybe someone in your family cheated on the other one, and they ended up leaving. And that was betrayal. So you learn that it's not good for a relationship. So you might find that you find some very interesting root cause from your answers. Your answer is straightforward, but if you track it and find out the root of it, where you learned that from, you find that very interesting, because it's all rooted in beliefs. So there's a belief that people need to be faithful to each other, and that they need to be open and also to commit. And so you feel betrayed, and betrayal can be a sign that you have a need to be accepted, you have a need to be liked, to feel included, because when they are talking to other people, they are not including you, and also to be in control, because this is a situation outside your control, and they are thinking that you've got a relationship, a good relationship going, and you want it to go well. So you need to be in control, and also autonomy. You need to create solutions in your life that are in your best interest right now. That is what you are being called to do. So I invite you to look into your own trigger, your own situation. What is your why? Why are you feeling as you are feeling, or thinking as you are thinking about that situation? Find out your own root cause, and maybe look into where you learned that from. When you come to the last question, the last answer, Where did you learn that from in your childhood, maybe? What does that remind you of? That's where you find your unmet needs. So we now have unmet needs. So what we do is we parent ourselves. When you are triggered, the first thing you need to do is to parent yourself. Because what happens is your inner child has been triggered. Your unmet needs from childhood are the ones that are triggered when you are distressed. So we manage the inner child. And then when we finish, we now trigger to manage the adult bit, the version of today, what you can do. And that's how we move forward when we have got triggers. So let's parent. Imagine a child in your care feeling as you are feeling or thinking as you are thinking, coming in with the situation that you have right now. Mommy, I have my friend who has betrayed me, and they've been talking to other friends and they've been ignoring me, or something like that, something similar. What would you do for this child? Let's practice 5 love languages, or some of them. Hug yourself and mention your name. What I invite you to do is to find a safe place to meet your inner child, the young version of you. Visualize a younger version of you at any age you want to meet them. Let them know, Memory, I love you so much and it's so good to see you. I am here with you and I want to know that I'm going to help you to heal and to help you to maintain a peaceful life. I am grateful for you and you are doing an amazing job. I want you to know that this is difficult and it sounds really difficult for you, feeling betrayed as you are. And I also want to let you know that I am with you and I'm not going to betray you at all. I'm going to be with you for life. People do what people do for their own reasons, and I want you to know that it's no reflection on your worthiness. Please take their behavior as their behavior, and maybe try to ask questions and find out if you can, but do not force anything on them. I want you to know that you do not need to bid for love in any kind of way. You do not need to beg for love from anybody. I love you, and I'm with you, and I accept you, and I like you. And I'm here to do my best for you because I care for you. You and me are going to be together for life. So I want you to understand that I'm here for you and that you need not worry too much about other people. Give me this moment to sort this out, to create some solutions around this about what we can do going forward. Trust me, I'm here for you. It's good to see you, and I will see you soon. You take care now, and don't cry. I love you so much, and I care about you. And what you do is, if you are crying, wipe your tears as you would do for a child you love. Do things that you would do for a child you love. Take action that you would take for a child you love, because you are that child you need to love with all your heart. And that is very important. That is how we love ourselves. And use words of affirmations. You can also have oils like lavender oils or a candle burning there to calm yourself down. It's very important. Or you can have some soothing music also playing in the background to just help you to calm down. The next thing we need to do is to do reframes. So each time you do a SIFTSEM, one of the most important things to do is cognitive restructuring. Because what happens is when you react, your thoughts start to run wild. You have all kinds of thoughts going in your head. And this can come from a place of entitlement. And it's not a problem to feel or think like that, but it's what we do about it that matters. So the next thing we need to do is to do reframes, thought replacement. What other perspective is out there? It feels challenging what this person is doing. I want you to also think about your situation and replace the thoughts that you have around the situation. So for this situation we are talking about, where someone found out that their partner is texting or messaging other people online, they might think, it's really challenging right now, but you can go through this. You have gone through situations like similar situations or other situations before, and you can also go through a situation like this. And I'm grateful to be here, to be alive, no matter what is happening in my life. And I also acknowledge that people choose what is best for them. So I'm going to be curious and find out what is really going on. And I'm not going to really accept this wholly just to say I'm accepted, but I need to understand and I need to decide what is best for me. They are free to choose what they want, but so am I. I am also free to choose what is best for me. So those are some of the reframes that you can make. And then role reversal. Put yourself in the shoes of this person. And then look at yourself and what you are thinking. What would they say to you? Maybe they would say, well, I am not trying to hurt you. I'm just talking to other people because we are not getting on right now. Or maybe because I struggle with conflict resolution and I don't know how to address situations in the relationship. Or I'm still looking. I didn't say we are looking for it. We are going to be together for life. So those are some of the reframes that you might actually find true. People don't intentionally hate us. What happens is there are people who are wicked out there, but what we need to understand is that when they do what they do, they are not trying to hurt us, thinking that it will hurt us. They are trying to soothe themselves. That is the thing. They think that by doing something, it's going to soothe them, but it doesn't really work because you don't get soothing from hurting another human being. It doesn't work like that. So you need to consider that. And this can be a really difficult part of the SIFTSEM, where some people I have worked with have struggled to role reverse because they find it really hard. But if you are going to heal, you want to recognize that your perspective is one of many. There isn't one perspective out there. So try to accept all those different perspectives, and you will actually start to look at the world differently. The next thing we do is to create fit-for-purpose solutions. Now we are dealing with the adult version. We have parented the inner child and soothed and grounded them. Now we are looking into the actual situation. What can we do about this situation? When we have finished this exercise here and calm down the inner child, what am I going to do when I leave here? So the first thing I recommend is self-care. Start self-care in the morning, afternoon, night. Gratitude, meditation, affirmations, tapping, set an intention, deep breathing, and hugs in the morning. That's loving yourself with love languages. Throughout the day, mindfulness, and then do SIFTSEM if you are triggered. Less complaining, forgiveness, boundaries, kindness, laughter, exercise, eat healthy. At night, bedtime reflection, gratitude for the day, appreciation. Again, what self-hugs, hug your inner child, praise yourself, and then go to sleep counting backwards. Count your sheep. So those are some of the things that we do for self-care, because that can help you to improve your emotional baseline. You are addressing your inner child and look into other ways you can give yourself love with 5 love languages, also walks in nature, etc. So the second thing we need to look into is what exactly can we do about this situation? A partner is texting others. And again, this is something nobody taught us, that we need to look into what we can do consciously and actually apply those solutions. So number one, maybe when a partner is doing this, we need to take a step back and parent ourselves like this. Why? Because we don't want to then show up and say, why are you doing this? And then they can just say, well, I'm tired of you. I'm just going to go. We are not saying that we need to persuade people to go, but we need to find ways to engage. Because the whole point of you addressing this situation is because you want to solve your relationship problems. But you cannot solve your relationship problems through confrontation and challenging and demanding. You can solve your problems by engaging. And you can only engage if you are grounded. And you can only ground if you are parented. And that's what you need to do for yourself, to parent yourself first. And then you make a plan. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to parent myself and choose what is best for me. What do I need here? Do I need to continue this relationship because I feel betrayed? Do I need to be with someone like this? I really don't. However, I need to be a bit curious maybe and probably find out what's going on before I jump to conclusions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them if I can have a word. And then when I speak to them, I'm going to ask them from a place of curiosity. May I ask, is there something I need to know about this situation, about our relationship, about, this situation of talking to other people online? I thought we were in a relationship. Or am I missing something? And then if you find that they are not engaging or they are not interested, then choose yourself. Most of our problems lie in trying to fix people who can't fix themselves, who don't know what they want with themselves. And that is a reflection of our inner states. So parent yourself and create solutions. And if they are not engaging or stepping up if you talk, then it's important that you respect yourself and step back and let people take their paths and go on their journey. Because sometimes we want to squeeze ourselves into a narrow path that someone is walking, and we don't fit into that path, and we'll be stepping on each other all the way. Because they can't go, we can't go, but we can if we choose to. So it is important that we let people choose. It's not the end of the world if a relationship breaks down. It's a journey that you have walked together. Wish them well. And someone is waiting out there for you. So that is important. And then we engage. When we engage, we need to, if they are engaging, then we also give ourselves a timeline, say, I'm going to look into this for 3 months and see if there's any change. And if there isn't any change, I might need to move forward and learn to let go. The only way that we can create healthy relationships is if we let go of unhealthy relationships. That is all, full stop. Because as long as we are holding on to unhealthy relationships, there is no space for a healthy partner to come into. And we do that also because we are not ready to heal. Because when we are ready to heal and when we are ready to move forward and we do healing work, we won't be putting up with any unhealthy behaviors or show up even ourselves with many blind spots, many unhealthy traits. We are able to scrutinize ourselves and to step back and say, this is my BS. I really need to step away from this. It doesn't look good. I need to change. And that is important. So those are some of the solutions that you can implement. There's more around that. And you can also use daily affirmations around the relationships. You need to create a vision board about what you really want in a relationship. And repeat affirmations around that. Repeat gratitude around that. And any other form of self-care. And then after 3 months, that's your long-term solutions now. Continue self-care, and if there's no change, you know what to do. If there's a change, of course, you'll have also introduced conflict resolution in your relationship, and also detaching and doing self-care, and maybe introducing a bit of self-care if they are open to it in your relationship, and then see how things go. So that is important. You are leading your life. You are not living your life to fate or to someone else to decide for you that, well, maybe when they're finished talking to those other people, they'll come and be good to you. It doesn't work like that. You have to say, I don't want this, or I want this, not to them, but to yourself. And again, that is an important part of communication where we need to speak to ourselves, not to other people. We don't have to announce a lot of things to other people. We need to announce them to ourselves and address ourselves and call ourselves out and deal with ourselves and create solutions for ourselves and turn out better for ourselves, creating boundaries. That is very, very important. And once we've done the SIFTSEM, we do a cathartic shake. Ooh, yeah. So I told you, this is part of the system that I love. I love this. That's the reason why I do all the system. Another thing that I forgot to mention, self-care. When we create solutions, also look into the pre-triggers. If there's something in your pre-trigger, such as we said self-care, and maybe sleep, as I was saying about myself, let's say I've got a trigger and I recognize that I haven't slept. I need to also pay attention to my sleep pattern and to find ways where I can help myself to sleep, so that I'm not constantly triggered, because that can be a problem. You run out of excuses to say, well, it's because of the sleep. Well, it's because of the sleep. After 1 week, 4 triggers, it's because of the sleep. I think you run out of excuses. So it is important that, yes, we are human. We do have those days, but let them be maybe once every month, or once every 2 weeks, or less, much less. Actually, I prefer than to make excuses around that, because even when I haven't slept, I can do a lot of meditation and minimize the impact of triggers. So that is important. And after doing the cathartic shake, we score ourselves again. So we said at the start, the score might have been an 8, and maybe finishing this, because parenting helps the inner child to be heard. Solutions helps us to have a sense of direction, and shaking it off, we can shift the sensations if you do the cathartic shake, and then the score might be probably around 3 or a 4. You still need to address the story, but you are not in a rush, and you are not triggered to jump into action, because what normally happens is when we don't parent ourselves, we jump to rush to that person. And you know what is happening when we rush to want to comment about other people, and when we are focusing on other people, it's because we are avoiding ourselves. That's what we do. So we want to project. I'm feeling really angered right now. I need to do something to him. No, you don't. You need to do something for you and be compassionate to yourself and parent your inner child, because you are triggered and your inner child needs mother right now, not them. They don't need your lecture. They don't need your correction. They don't need your slap. You need mother. That is what you need. And when you have got mother, when you go to them, you've got compassion and curiosity. I just noticed that you've been on the computer. There was something on the computer about like a dating site. Is there anything I need to know? And if they are not engaging, you're not forcing anybody to talk, and you can just say, okay. Thing about it is, I don't feel like, this relationship is what I'm looking for. We might just not be looking for the same thing, because some people will stonewall. We are not looking for the same thing. Leave, and don't threaten. Leave. And then if they want to follow and negotiate, you are going to need to start from scratch, because that's a breakup. And you don't want to rush back there. You actually want to see changes before you go back there. So that is very important. Whether you break up with somebody for an hour, if there is a problem, those problems need to be addressed. So that is very important. I won't keep you further. Some of the things that you might need to do when you have finished a SIFTSEM and you are still scoring a bit high, you can do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can do meditation. You can continue with affirmations and gratitude. You can go and walk in nature. You can find other things to distract you, but in a healthy way. And what you need to continue doing as you do that is to keep parenting yourself. I'm here with you. I hear you. It's okay. It's okay. Because imagine what happens. You are holding a baby and the baby is crying, and you soothe the baby and you feed them and you put them down, and the baby wakes up again and they are crying. You don't ignore them and go next door. You keep soothing that baby, because you know that they are going to cry again. But what happens is, as the baby grows older, they cry less. And also, if they know that there's going to be someone to hold space, they become less anxious, because they know you are going to be coming back. That's exactly what we are doing for ourselves. We are learning to trust ourselves, that there is mother who's going to be there when we struggle. And that is what SIFTSEM is about. I hope that was helpful. And I hope you continue to work on the quality of your life before relationships. And on Thursday, we will be meeting again to continue this 3 times a week SIFTSEM, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I hope that was helpful for you, and I'm hoping to see you soon. Thank you for watching. Chandler, Ellie, Chandler, Mahira, Nina, and Carol. See you soon. Quality life before relationships.